Tonight, charting a course through the choppy waters of trade. Even those in the know don't know which way it could go.
He says different things at different times.
Canada's outgoing ambassador to the U.S. on the future of free trade. Mayhem in Milan. Protesters and police toe-to-toe. How the Olympic Committee is responding to demonstrations at the Winter Games. And artificial intelligence takes on cancer care.
From a patient's perspective, it's an absolute piece of cake.
The clinical trial that dramatically changes treatment for prostate cancer.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Mirella Fernandez.
Good evening. Trade is at the heart of the Canadian economy, which is why the future of the free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico is being closely monitored. Its very existence is under threat by the U.S. president. Tonight, we have new insight on the trade challenges from the outgoing Canadian ambassador to the U.S. CTV's Kamal Karamali reports.
In a year when the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade deal, or CUSMA, is up for review amid a bitter trade war, there remains a cloud of uncertainty on what will happen next.
He says different things at different times.
Now on CTV's Question Period, Canada's outgoing ambassador to the U.S. unsure on whether U.S. President Donald Trump will even keep CUSMA or scrap it altogether.
I think that the president has a strong view around the U.S. being able to do more itself. How that translates with respect to this treaty, I don't know.
The U.S. has tried to do more without Canada and Mexico, announcing a sweeping deal with China in November, a deal where Chinese President Xi Jinping has already delivered on his end of the trade pact, according to the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury this morning.
They've completed their soybean purchases. It's my belief that President Trump is the only world leader who Xi respects.
While also trying to limit other countries from relying on China, Prime Minister Mark Carney drawing Trump's ire after a preliminary trade deal with China last month. But former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland appearing Friday on an American talk show with this message to the U.S.
The world's democracies will be really much poorer if you guys don't get your act together.
Her take, a deal with China should not be Canada's first choice.
Because a world in which we need to start relying on China, this is not a world where human rights matter. This is not a world where democracy matters.
But it might end up being one of Canada's more reliable options, with growing calls to reduce dependency on the U.S. as CUSMA enters the most consequential phase of its existence since it was signed. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Two more Toronto officers have been suspended as part of the probe dubbed Project South. At this time, they are not facing charges. The investigation looked at allegations of police corruption and links to organized crime. 7 Toronto police officers and 1 retired member already face 46 charges that include taking a bribe, obstructing justice, and breach of trust. 3 officers from Peel Region, just outside of Toronto, are also facing charges. Players from Canada's men's Olympic hockey team have now touched down in Italy ahead of their first match Thursday against Czechia. The team has named 2-time Olympic gold medalist Sidney Crosby as captain. Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers and Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche are the alternates. This is the first time NHLers are back at the Olympics since the Sochi Games in 2014. There will be no medal for Canada's figure skating team, despite a stellar performance from pair skaters Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud. The team finished with 54 points, good for 5th behind the U.S., Japan, Italy, and Georgia. And it is the end of an Olympic comeback for Alpine legend Lindsey Vonn. Just 13 seconds into her downhill run in Cortina, the 41-year-old American superstar lost control and pinwheeled down the slope. She was racing with a torn ligament. Vaughn had to be strapped onto a stretcher, flown to a hospital to have surgery for a broken leg. There are calls for calm tonight following clashes between Olympic protesters and Riot police in the streets of Milan. Olympic organizers are condemning the violence and say the Games should be focused on peace and unity. CTV's Heather Butts is in Milan.
Fireworks, flares, and smoke bombs as police in riot gear pushed towards a group of protesters late Saturday night, demonstrating near the Olympic Village in Milan.
Peaceful protest is entirely legitimate in many countries of the world. And we draw a line, as we said earlier on, at violence. That has no place at the Olympic Games.
Olympic officials making it clear they believe the clashes were entirely separate from a peaceful demonstration earlier in the day, where an estimated 10,000 people marched through the streets of Italy's financial capital, protesting housing costs and environmental concerns linked to the Games.
I think we just need to get on with the Games, which will, spread a strong message of unity and peace to the world, which I think is very important at this moment in time.
That message of unity felt here by those gathered to view the Olympic cauldron.
I think it's brilliant because it brings people together, it brings all different nationalities together.
Take this massive crowd, for example, all here to share in the Olympic experience. You can easily connect with people from around the world.
It's only a couple of weeks, but I really hope people take to heart what the Olympics are about and the spirit of the game and the competition. And again, everybody's the same right now. Nobody should be different.
For many athletes, it's about inclusion. American figure skater Amber Glenn hoping to inspire people during what she described as challenging times for the LGBTQ2S+ community.
I hope I can use my platform and my voice throughout these games to try and encourage people to stay strong in these hard times.
Today, the Italian Prime Minister condemned the anti-Olympic protesters as enemies of Italy, while she praised the thousands who are working hard to make these games run smoothly and represent the country in a positive light. Morella.
CTV's Heather Butts in Italy tonight. From the 25th Winter Olympics to Super Bowl 60 in California, millions getting together to watch the big game. In downtown Toronto, a charity hosted its 10th annual Super Bowl dinner, where over 100 men at a shelter could enjoy a warm meal.
We've got pizza, we've got burgers, chicken wings, onion rings, cake. Everything you want for a Super Bowl party is here.
The event's sponsor also provided a 75-inch TV to watch the Seattle Seahawks take on the New England Patriots.
Seattle reigns above them all in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the second time.
And it was a big victory for the Seahawks, who dominated Super Bowl 60 from the outset to beat the Patriots 29-13. Bad Bunny's halftime show drawing at least as much attention as the big game. The Puerto Rican superstar performing a mashup of his hits on a stage inspired by his hometown. There were several surprise appearances during the show. That's Lady Gaga. She was one. Ricky Martin another. There were also cameos by actor Pedro Pascal and rapper Cardi B. There were critics who opposed Bad Bunny performing today, calling him un-American, even though Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. The singer ended the show with a shout out to the countries of South and North America, including Canada. The unemployment rate dropped in January. It came in at 6.5%, but the rate is almost double that for young people. CTV's Kathy Lee tonight with some of the reasons why younger Canadians just can't seem to catch a break.
Thank you. This is the job hunt up close, and for young people in Canada, it's tough.
I would like for the admin position.
20-year-old Angelica Vidal has applied for more than 200 jobs in the last year with no luck. She's hoping that changes at this job fair in Calgary.
Maybe 1 or 2 will interview me and give me a chance.
Statistics Canada says unemployment fell slightly in January to 6.5%, while the youth jobless rate dipped to 12.9%. 1.8% as fewer people looked for work. The Immigrant Education Society helps bridge employers with job seekers. Maysoon Hanady says those numbers are still high.
We don't see that it's getting better. Like, we see that it might take a while before things kind of stabilize.
The Immigrant Education Society says it used to take its clients about 2 months to find a job. Now that timeline has tripled. That timeline applies to positions that require experience and starter roles, like what Vidal is looking for.
Every other job is saying you need to have this years of experience, you need to have this level of experience, but we're not getting accepted at this very entry-level job. So where are we supposed to get this experiences? In many cases, the entry-level market is saturated, adding to the challenge.
It's not that the youth are just competing with themselves. They're also competing with low-skilled people who are having a hard time finding jobs and having to move down into the jobs that would normally be taken up by teenagers or young people.
There's my resume.
Despite the competition, young people like Vidal hope that employers will just give them a chance. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A show of solidarity in Winnipeg today with protesters a world away. A crowd of demonstrators gathering at Winnipeg's Polo Park to draw attention to the uprisings in Iran and show their support for those in their homeland. Anti-government protests have been erupting across Iran for weeks, accompanied by reports of a brutal and deadly crackdown by Tehran. There seem to be endless opportunities for artificial intelligence to improve our lives. One of the most exciting is on the medical front. A clinical trial in BC is already underway to use AI to improve cancer treatment. CTV's Andrew Johnson with a look at how radiation sessions can be reduced when AI is involved in prostate cancer care.
When 76-year-old Mike Miles was diagnosed with prostate cancer, he wasn't sure what to expect.
The healthcare system is overwhelmed, particularly with older folks like me.
Low to medium risk patients like Miles used to face a grueling regimen of 20 to 40 radiation treatments over 2 months. Newer technology has reduced that to only 5. Now, the BC Cancer Clinic in Victoria is taking things one step further in a new trial with the help of AI.
We have an industry partner that we have worked with to develop this AI-powered algorithm that helps us to aim the radiation beams more accurately than we could before.
The goal, reduce side effects and deliver effective treatment with only 2 doses.
We can get people in and out in just 2 treatments. I mean, that's just fantastic.
From a patient's perspective, it's an absolute piece of cake.
The accelerated process also allows more patients to access care more quickly.
Being able to do 2 treatments rather than 5 or 40 means that BC Cancer can process many, many more people in a timely manner.
If the 2-year trial is successful, there's hope the technology can be used to treat other types of cancer. According to one new study, artificial intelligence is already helping doctors around the world spot more cases of breast cancer. A trial involving more than 100,000 Swedish women receiving routine breast cancer scans showed a single radiologist, assisted by AI, detected 9% more cancer cases than 2 radiologists working together.
The study's authors conclude widely rolling out AI-supported mammography breast cancer screening programs would be a win-win to both reduce workload for radiologists and detect more cancers at an early stage. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Coming up.
I wasn't just seeing patients anymore. There was more and more documents filling my inbox.
The problem with paperwork driving Canadian doctors out of medicine and what they want to stay. Canadians know how hard it is to find a family doctor. What if more of them could be persuaded to stay in practice simply by reducing the paperwork they need to do? Family doctors say they are drowning in forms and filling them out takes time away from patients. CTV's John Venevali-Rao with the results of a new survey that looks at the burden and the burnout.
We met with Dr. Fan Hua Meng at her home, where she's happily spending more time these days after stepping back from working as a family doctor, driven out of it, she says, by mounting paperwork.
I wasn't just seeing patients anymore. There was more and more documents filling my inbox.
Dr. Meng says she spent up to 20 hours a week, often on her computer, filling out government and insurance forms which never seemed to end, and reading reports from pharmacies she felt were unnecessary.
Even notes from patients, I need you to fill in this form, I need you to fill in that form. And it's not their fault. The form comes from their employer, or the form comes from some organization that says, look, if you want this, I need a note from a doctor.
Starting to experience burnout in 2024, she left her practice, which had been there for more than 20 years. The clinic was closed and emptied, and she said goodbye to 1,000 patients. A recent survey found a quarter of doctors are considering leaving medicine or retiring early for some of the same reasons.
It's harder to recruit into the family practice specialty because of the concerns there.
Family doctors reported spending an average 10 hours a week doing paperwork and deemed 47% of it unnecessary red tape, calling for the amount of it to be reduced and forms simplified or standardized. More than half of those surveyed said the amount of time they spend on administrative tasks had increased over the last year. And in response, 54% said they're considering cutting their working hours. Dr. Caitlin Christie says she started experiencing major burnout after returning to work following the birth of her twin boys. She says the workload, including all of the paperwork, were too much, and she thought about quitting, but switched to seeing patients 3 days a week, which has helped.
Me making these changes now, it does come at a cost, but it means that I'm more likely to be here in general family practice like 10, 20 years from now, because the rate that I was going at before, I was ready to leave medicine.
And some worry more will quit if, among other things, the paperwork problem isn't addressed. John Venevalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Doctors in some provinces are getting a bit of a break, with pharmacists stepping in to test and treat for common illnesses. In PEI, they are now allowed to diagnose strep throat, which means islanders can skip the doctor's visit and still find relief. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
A pharmacist on the phone or behind the counter can be the first stop for many islanders who don't have a family doctor. And now they can test for and treat strep throat too. It's partly to improve access in a province that ranks last in the share of the population with a regular healthcare provider.
Strep throat is very painful, and it's not something that people really want to wait for a day or two or a week whenever they can get into an appointment.
It reflects a bigger push across the country to broaden the list of common conditions which pharmacists can assess and prescribe treatments.
This should alleviate some of the strain and demand in emergency rooms and with physicians and nurse practitioners.
Some provinces have been more wary, like Ontario, where the pharmacy regulator says 43% of pharmacists responding to its expanded scope consultation expressed concerns it would worsen workload, burnout, corporate pressures, and staffing issues. But back on the island, the PEI Pharmacy Association says many welcome a wider role because they can more often close the loop on care.
I think that it's really rewarding to be able to follow through and provide that service.
In some places, pharmacists can go further. For example, in Nova Scotia, where they can assess tick bites to help prevent Lyme disease, and in British Columbia, where 21 minor ailments are on the list.
Here in PEI, the health department says it'll continue to review other opportunities to expand pharmacists' scope of practice to match the province's priorities. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Still ahead, a hockey innovation. What an Atlantic Canada rink is doing to keep the lights on in tough times. Canadian parents are always looking for ways to make sports more affordable for their kids. In Nova Scotia, the operators of a local rink found a way to cut costs and pass some savings on to families. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth with the innovation that is helping their bottom line.
This community-run arena is always fully booked with hockey games and figure skating sessions. It's also an expensive facility to run, which is why the operators applied for a federal Green Initiative grant. Recently, they scored a big win.
$1.3 million.
That money will cover the cost to convert from electricity to solar power later this year, making it the first solar-powered arena in Nova Scotia. The switch could be a game changer, shaving off more than $14,000 a month in expensive power bills.
But what this is going to do for us is generate income to support the operation over the long term.
Those who use the arena hope the savings will allow it to continue to be a community destination for sports events.
It's the hub. It's the hub of Sackville. Learning about the history of this arena and the people that have made this arena possible. We're in a position now where I think that we can actually make this rink strong for another 50 years.
By making this rink more sustainable and financially viable, operators can use the money they save to renovate and upgrade the facility.
No arena makes money. The operating season is too short.
A new concrete pad under the ice surface and upgraded boards will now be affordable.
That's another $600,000 project.
By keeping costs down, Smith hopes to pass savings on to local families, giving sports a brighter look for people who use this soon-to-be solar-powered arena. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia.
Still ahead, how a new book is shining a light on a little-known piece of Canada's past. A new book is hitting shelves just in time for Black History Month, teaching kids about the contribution Caribbean immigrants have made to this country in the First and Second World Wars. CTV's Carol Charles has the story.
Yolanda Marshall is celebrating the launch of her latest children's book, Marching North. Written for children ages 5 to 10, it's the first Canadian picture book that highlights Caribbean immigrants who served for Canada in the First and Second World War. She says it's a great introduction for young children.
And this is a wonderful book to get them into talking about these wonderful soldiers. And, you know, I hope it inspires them to want to become amazing, and even writers too, right?
Featured in this colorful 40-page picture book are 8 soldiers who served and fought for Canada at a time when their rights were limited.
We have Isaac Phillips, George Livingstone, William Gale, Thomas Gale, Ethelbert Lionel Cross. We have Hebron Greenidge, Dr. Joseph Liverpool, and also Owen Rowe.
On hand for the launch, historian Kathy Grant, the daughter of Owen Rowe. She's happy to see the legacy of her father and those of the other soldiers being shared with the greater community.
I know that my dad is looking down and he is smiling, he is laughing, he is dancing.
Despite facing hardships on and off the battlefield, many of these men returned home to become doctors, teachers, lawyers, and community leaders.
We came from brave people, very strong, resilient people who came here and they contributed immensely.
The book will be available through Amazon, Indigo, and here at a different book list. Carol Charles, CTV News.
That's a wrap on the day. For all of us here at CTV National News, thanks for sharing your time. Good night.